My sister, Rita, had a habit of picking up random objects, no matter what they were. At first, it was harmless: coins, buttons, jewelry. Then she started picking up knives and even stealing from neighbors. My parents ignored my concerns, insisting she was just a child. But I saw it differently. Her obsession wasn't normal. One night, during a family stroll, she found something worse: a creepy, abandoned doll near a bush. I told her to leave it, but my parents let her keep it. That was the night everything changed. The doll was terrifying. Its face was cracked, its eyes empty yet somehow watching. Unlike her other finds, which she usually forgot about, Rita actually played with this one. She named it Lucy. The moment she spoke the name, I felt something was terribly wrong. That night, as I peeked into her room, I saw her whispering to the doll, laughing as if it spoke back. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself it was just a toy. But deep down, I knew better. A scream woke me in the middle of the night. I ran to Rita's room, my heart pounding. She sat on the floor, staring at Lucy with wide, unblinking eyes. "What happened?" I asked. She grinned. "Nothing, brother. We were just playing." I swallowed hard. Her voice sounded different, too calm, too certain. When I told her to go back to sleep, she just smiled. "We don't want to sleep," she said. That was the first time I truly felt afraid. I threatened to take the doll away, but the second I said it, Rita's expression darkened. Her stare froze me in place. Then, in her eyes, I saw something horrifying: Lucy, holding a knife, its mouth dripping blood. I gasped, unable to move. Suddenly, Rita collapsed. I laid her on the bed, trying to convince myself it was all in my head. I grabbed the doll and shoved it under the bed, hoping that would be the end of it. But the nightmare had just begun. The next morning, I checked on Rita. My stomach dropped when I saw the doll on her bed. I knew for a fact I had hidden it. "Rita, did you move this?" I asked, shaking her gently. No response. I shook her harder. Still nothing. Panic set in. I turned to the doll, its cold eyes staring back at me. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran outside, doused it in petrol, and set it on fire. I watched until it turned to ashes, convinced I had finally destroyed it. Then the doorbell rang. My hands trembled as I opened the door. No one was there. Just as I was about to shut it, my blood ran cold. Sitting on the porch was Lucy, completely intact. I stumbled backward, slamming the door. My breathing was erratic. This wasn't possible. I had burned it. It should have been gone. I knew then that this thing wasn't just a doll, it was something much worse. I rushed back to Rita's room, twisting the doorknob. It was locked. Peering through the keyhole, my stomach lurched. Rita was awake, sitting on her bed, laughing. But her laughter wasn't hers, it was deeper, almost demonic. And Lucy was there, right in her lap, looking exactly as it had before. My hands shook. I needed to get rid of that thing once and for all. I stepped inside cautiously. "Rita, listen to me. That doll isn't safe. We have to get rid of it." She tilted her head, smiling eerily. "Lucy doesn't want to go." I reached for the doll, but before I could touch it, Rita pulled out a knife and pointed it at my chest. My breath caught. "Get out," she whispered, her voice thick with something unnatural. "Lucy doesn't like you." Terrified, I backed away and ran to my parents' room. Before I could reach them, a scream echoed through the house. I sprinted to their door, twisting the knob. Locked. I shoved my weight against it, forcing it open, only to find the room completely empty. My parents were gone. But I had heard them. I had heard them scream. My mind spun, drowning in terror. Then the doorbell rang again. I turned slowly, my breath hitching. I forced myself to open the door. And there, sitting on the doorstep, was Lucy, grinning. My chest tightened as I stumbled back. This wasn't just a cursed doll. It was something alive. I turned to Rita's room, gripping the doorknob with shaking hands. I peered through the keyhole, and what I saw nearly stopped my heart. I peered through the keyhole, my breath hitching. The doll, Lucy, held the knife Rita had pointed at me earlier. My pulse raced as Rita walked up and took the blade. She smiled, an eerie, unnatural grin, just like Lucy's. My stomach twisted as I saw something disturbing. Inside Rita's eyes, the doll was still holding the knife. A cold sweat broke over me. I stumbled back, pressing a trembling hand against my chest. My mind refused to process what I had just seen. I wanted to run, but something made me look again. I leaned in once more, and my heart nearly stopped. Lucy's face appeared right in front of the keyhole, staring at me. I gasped and stumbled backward, crashing onto the hard floor. Pain shot through me, but fear overpowered everything. My mind spiraled into panic. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My thoughts raced. What was Rita planning with that knife? Where were my parents? Summoning my courage, I stood and crept toward the door again. Rita's laughter echoed through the room. It wasn't normal, it was a mix of laughter and crying. My hands trembled as I peered inside. Lucy was gone. My eyes darted around, and my stomach dropped. My parents were tied up on the floor. Rita raised the knife and, without hesitation, slit their throats. Blood poured as she laughed hysterically, even as tears streamed down her face. My body froze in horror. I knew it wasn't really her, it was the doll controlling her. Rage consumed me. The doll had taken everything. My hands shook as I slammed into the door. It burst open, revealing the nightmare before me. Without thinking, I grabbed a knife and stabbed Lucy. But something was wrong. Blood gushed. Too much blood. I looked down in horror. It wasn't the doll. It was Rita. My hands trembled as she fell, bleeding out on the same spot as my parents. My mind shattered. The doll had tricked me into killing my own sister. Tears streamed down my face as I dropped the knife. My parents were gone. Rita was gone. My hands, covered in blood, wouldn't stop shaking. I looked up and saw Lucy, sitting there, smiling. Then, a knock at the door. My heart clenched. Who could it be? Fear paralyzed me, but the knocking continued. Forcing myself to move, I stepped over the remains of my family and opened the door. Relief flooded me, it was our pastor. He gasped at the blood on my hands. Richard, what happened? Where are your parents? Where is Rita? I broke down, telling him everything. He listened, his face grim. Before he could speak, something slithered into the room. A massive, black snake emerged from Rita's bedroom. My breath caught as it morphed into Lucy. My stomach dropped. The doll wasn't done with me yet. The pastor's face paled. No, it can't be, he muttered. We thought we destroyed this thing. My blood ran cold. You know this doll? He nodded. It appeared in church disguised as a woman, then turned into a snake. We burned it and scattered the ashes near the bushes. Before we could react, Lucy transformed again, lunging at us. The pastor raised his Bible. A deafening thunderclap followed, and lightning struck the creature. In an instant, it vanished. The police arrived, taking me for questioning. I explained everything, though it sounded like madness. After an investigation, I was found innocent. But I had lost everything, my parents, my sister, my home. The pastor took me in, but nothing could erase what had happened. The cursed doll had destroyed my world, leaving me with nothing but sorrow. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please help us grow by liking and subscribing to our channel and help us share this story to your families and friends.